Hello and welcome to this episode of Courageous and Free with Jacqueline Mack here on all the podcast channels. We're live over on LinkedIn. We're live here on YouTube and we are recording for a podcast. So if you have comments, questions, ahas, things that you are like so grateful that you get to take away and apply to business and life, please share them in the comments. I do check those and I will respond back if you have a question. But I do treat this like a podcast episode. So I'm going to share a bunch of wisdom and knowledge and tactics and tools and ideas to give you something to be activated by and then to integrate into your day-to-day life. Before we hop into today's episode, I wanted to say that this theme for February is self-love. And I say it all the time that when you're taking your power back, right? What does that mean about taking your power back in sales and your personal life? And for the whole purpose of fulfillment, right? Which is feeling good, feeling joy, feeling love, enjoying the journey of this thing we call life, and not just waiting to enjoy it on a vacation or waiting to enjoy it for the weekend or waiting to enjoy it for that day off. It's like, how can we be intentional, that ROI, return on intention, every single day? And over the past 20 plus years of doing premium sales, I mean, high ticket, corporate health and wellness, selling $30,000 keynote speakers, and seeing how everything works, and how even in lifestyle medicine, that was my very, very, very first job, right? Fresh out of college, and then into corporate health and wellness. Everywhere, people were giving their power away in business and in life. And thousands of phone calls later, here in the online service space, witnessing what people give their power away to and delaying what? Their dreams, their vitality, their desires, due to, which sounds super silly when you hear it later, but it doesn't sound silly in the moment, which is you're giving your power away to circumstances, other people, or dare I say it, money. So if you are in a position in life where you're like, wow, I could really take my sales to the next level, or I want to build up that momentum to mastery, I am now offering a live workshop every Thursday until I decide not to, or until people don't show up. Every Thursday, live free workshop. I like to say complimentary at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard, but it's a private Zoom link to get you into the workshop. How do you do that? Well, you just go to the calendar link and click, I'm going to show up. And the cool thing about my calendar is I can have up to however many people I want. And I want this really intimate because I want every single person on that call to be able to ask a question and get an answer. We call this laser coaching for sales momentum to mastery. So it's sales momentum, sales momentum mastery. Sales momentum to mastery live. That's what I decided to call the workshop. Consider it like if I had office hours, this would be it. This is the only place to get one-on-one laser focused feedback in real time. And I will allow people to jump on this for free every single month, but I'm going to do it every single week. If you want to participate every single week, we can have another conversation. But I'd say hop in, hear how I'm coaching other people, hear how I can help you have probably the biggest breakthrough you'll have this year into creating that momentum with your sales. And obviously you're not investing a dime. It's just investing time and energy, and obviously taking what you learn from the session and applying it right away. So this is where, again, I'm a recovering high performer, recovering perfectionist, and I personally closed over 21 million and counting, and worked for behind the scenes of businesses doing over hundreds of millions. And this will be that private high impact workshop designed to refine your sales skills right there on the spot. And it's the only place to build that momentum, increase that revenue. Spots are limited, 10 participants. That's it. Yes, I could have 20. Yes, I could have 50. Yes, I could have 100. But would I be able to answer everybody's questions? No. And it's only an hour. What can change in 10 to 5 minutes? What can change in a laser coaching consultation call? A lot, very quickly. So if you're serious about leveling up, I would register. I will put the link in the show notes to this episode. I will also put the link wherever this is also being live on the social land, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So let's jump back into self-love February. Let's talk about sell or be sold, right? All right, give you something today. Sell or be sold. And here's what I can tell you out of everything. What we're going to go into today very quickly, because I want to value your time, is you're either selling yourself or someone selling you on their what? Limiting beliefs or excuses. And if you are constantly selling yourself on buying into your own limiting beliefs or excuses, circumstances, situations, then what are you choosing here? You can choose again, right? You can choose again. We're going to talk about how we unconsciously use circumstances, money, fear as justifications for what? Staying stuck. Stuck is not really a thing. Stuck is an illusion. Stuck is another limiting belief or story. We're not stuck unless we give our power away or we choose to be stuck. Nobody can stuck us, right? So I'm also going to go over the RAHRA method. And yes, that's RAHRA, RAHRA, RAHRA. This is a tool that I give people in my Rise Up program, Radical Intentional Self-Expansion to Unleash Your Unlimited Potential. Yes, you can work with me one-on-one through that program, or we have the self-study version too. This is part of the AAA method. When we assess, when we're aware, we assess, and we take that aligned action. RAHRA method is part of that aligned action piece that you can take. And then we're going to talk about why your biggest breakthroughs happen when you stop negotiating with your limitations. No more negotiations. And by the way, that RAHRA method came from just verbiage from Michael Singer's book, Untethered Soul. So if you want to take that a whole nother level, go listen to and or read, but apply what the principles Michael Singer shares in that book. He has an amazing background and story, but he's also wrote this amazing book that is literally life-changing at the spiritual level, which is where most people still deserve to be awakened, I guess I could say in the most kindest way possible. So let's first talk about this RAHRA method, right? Because when you are irritated, when you are feeling like someone created a problem in your life, right? You are on a sales call and it doesn't close, or they keep saying it's the money, but they said they had a budget, but they don't want to use their budget, or their budget was restricted, or they had to talk to somebody else about the budget. First thing I'd like to share with you is remove budget from your vocabulary when you're on sales calls. I at times still slip because it's been so programmed for over 15, 20 years almost. It wasn't until this last year, no, now 2 years, since 2023, that I started talking about and teaching to remove budget and replace that word with fund or funding. Let's talk about the funding. Let's get creative with the funding. Where do you think we could get the funding versus budget? Budget sounds restrictive. Budget sounds like it's made, it's said, it's done. There's no changing it. Funding is like there's funding everywhere. Anybody, pretty much anybody anywhere can get funding for something at some level. Now, will they pay a high interest rate? That's neither here or there, but funding or funds, right? And it'll be a big game changer for you. But let's just say something causes a problem. And what Michael Singer says is we really don't have problems. It's the problem that we have the problems that is the problem, meaning the problem that we're bothered by something that we call a problem. Because nothing is really a problem until we declare it's a problem because we're bothered by it. So if we weren't bothered by things, we wouldn't call it a problem. Therefore, we wouldn't have problems. So maybe you need to hear that again. Maybe I don't want to confuse you, but really slow this down. Sometimes I talk really fast, or if you're like me, listening to things on like 1.5 speed. If we weren't bothered by things or people or circumstances, we wouldn't have a problem. So we have problems. And what's the problem with having problems? That we allow things to bother us, right? So when they do, though, here's something you can do to process through it, because we're not stuffing things down anymore. Stuffing things down only causes major problems, quote unquote, for real, later, that we essentially might need to go see a therapist for, or a practitioner, or a healer, or whoever you want to go see to help you release it, right? So you can do this yourself, but it's a practice. It's a practice of putting in the reps every single time you are bothered. Let's not call it a problem. Let's just say when we're bothered. Let's make it very simple. If we weren't bothered, we wouldn't have problems. But we're human. So we're going to be bothered. We're also meaning making machines. We make something mean something. You and I could have the exact same experience. I can have a lot of fun on my sales calls, and you could be like, I hate sales. And they could be the exact same type of call with the exact same type of humans. But yet you're having a horrible experience and I'm loving it and living up life, even if I'm only closing at 50%. Because I don't care if I hear no. I don't take it as a personal rejection. I just take it as, okay, they're not in their power. They're giving their power away, or it's just not a priority. And that's okay too. So when you're bothered by something, use the RAHRA method. And by the way, I added a whole new video to the Rise Up on unlocking time for this specifically. I think go much deeper into it. But for you in Cliff Notes today, RAHRA stands for respect, accept, right? So I respect the fact that I'm being bothered. I don't love it, but I respect that it's happening, like, because I can't stop. I can't control what's out of my control. What's out of our control is everything except our thoughts and how we respond. So I'm going to slow down and be respectful and be like, okay, don't want to react. I don't want to respond, but I'm going to be aware, respect that it's happened or it is happening, right? Now, if it's something that's happening and you can do something about it to remove yourself from the situation, please do. Like, because this applies to every situation, circumstance that's happening every second. There's things happening every single second all over the freaking world, right? So respect, accept, even if we don't like it. Because remember, we can't go back and change the past. I can't go back even 5 minutes ago and be like, oh, why did I mess up when I said that? It happened. I'm human. Who cares? Move on. Don't make mountains out of molehills. Don't make life more difficult than what it already is, because we're human and we're making machines and things bother us, right? So when we can respect, accept, and honor, raw, when we're feeling raw, right? Like a lion. So we rah it. Respect, accept, honor, and release. Honor and release. Let it flow through you. Don't hold on to it. Don't go complain about it. Don't be the victim of it. Whatever's happening to you that's causing you to feel bothered is probably happened to many other people on this earth, right? So they choose. Do they stuff it down and be bothered by it for weeks, months, years, dare I say decades, or a lifetime? Yeah, a lot do. And guess what it causes? Dis-ease in the mental, emotional capacity, in the spiritual part, and in the physical body. Dis-ease gets translated into what? Disease. And then doctors label it, and then you own it, and then you don't respect, accept, honor, and release it. It becomes who you are and not just something that happened for you, not to you, to grow and expand on this time we have on earth. Respect, accept, honor, release. You're like, okay, what's the last A? This is probably the hardest part, at least for me, as a recovering high performer, as a recovering people pleaser, as a recovering control freak. Appreciate. Appreciate that you were what? Bothered, that you had a problem, that you had a challenge, that you had a circumstance. Wow. So glad that happened so I don't do that again. I'm so glad I dated that type of person so that I don't date that type of person again. So glad for that heartache, because now I know what it's like to love and have lost, and to truly release and still love and respect and appreciate that person for who they are, and truly want them to love somebody else or feel the love that somebody else can give to them. Detachment. That's the honor and release. You can use these words in any translation or order that you like. I picked RAHRA because it's easy to remember, like raw, like when I'm feeling raw. Pause, respect, accept, honor, release, appreciate. You can jump in and just accept and honor and not even respect it for a while. That's fine. But start to use these words in your actionable, aligned steps to grow and expand through the what? The problems, the challenges. Because I tell you, if you're not doing this and you're running a business, or you're doing sales, or you're a mom, or you're a wife, or a spouse, or whatever titles you hold, it's going to spill over into those other areas of life, right? And your biggest breakthroughs happen when you stop negotiating with your limitations, with your problems, with your limiting beliefs. Which, what are beliefs? They're thoughts repeated over and over. What are thoughts? Thoughts are things that are happening while you're feeling and what you're making things mean. I know we're going deep on this today, and you're like, wow, I'm here for some sales training. Well, it's the inner work to be sold, or you're going to sell. If you aren't right in your own conviction and authority of who you are, what you stand for, you're going to fall for everybody else's limiting beliefs because you've fallen for your own. And you've let them block you. You've let them stop you. This is self-love, people. Doing the inner work is self-love. Taking your power back, saying, wow, when that kid said that to me, or when that teacher, or when I got that grade, or when my mom said this, or my dad said that, or I lost that person, or when I was fired, all these things I just said happened to me. There are things that happened in my childhood that have came up that I'm still processing, that I'm honoring, I'm respecting, I'm accepting, I'm releasing, I'm appreciative for. Which if you would have asked me 10 years ago, I still would have been mad, 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 like a wet old cat. But what you can do with now what you know is so powerful, but it's powerless unless you do something with what I'm sharing with you today. And if I've either confused the heck out of you or activated a spark within you, go read or listen to the book Untethered Soul and see how closely this applies to business and life. Actually, everything that you do and how you show up. So I want to share a quick story because I haven't shared much about why I do what I do, why I'm so passionate about helping people grow and expand, not just with their sales structure and techniques and their authority and their conviction and their active listening and checking in on other active listening and quality questions. Because I wholeheartedly believe the quality of questions that we have in life, that we ask in life, that we are asked in life will reflect back a higher quality of life. Hands down. Test it out for a couple weeks and tell me how it goes. But what happened to me very, very young? Well, I guess I could say very young, 18. My first real boyfriend, somebody that I felt real love, not like puppy love, not like an infatuation, but like, holy shit, like this is what love feels like. Like, I love you, but I'm 18. Like, I don't know if I want to be with you forever. I think I do. But even if we find other people in life, like, I just know like there's this like strong compassion and respect that's like, we're either going to be best friends or we're going to get married. That's just how I felt. And I was open about that. And he was like, yeah, I feel that too. And he was like, man, you're running off to college. I don't know what I want to do with my life. And I feel like I'm holding you back. It was just like that's different kind of love. And I was like, wow. And he died tragically in a car crash. The day I moved to college, I got a phone call from his best friend. And I didn't want to stay in college and I didn't want to go home because everything at home reminded me of him. And I truly felt like for a good year or two, because I didn't have these tools in my toolbox, I truly felt like I was never going to be able to love like that again. I thought that was it. That was my chance. That's just I appreciate the year that it was, but that's all I get. That's the cards I was dealt. And I was actually okay with that story. I wasn't victim. I was just like, okay, that sucks, but it is what it is. It was so bad that I got in my own head about it, that when I did eventually, come on, college, it's like the best time to be dating, like really dating, right? As an adult. There were guy friends that we would try to go on dates or I'd take them on, my sorority date nights and things like that. And they were good friends. And sometimes they would try to date me. And there's a few times at dinner or lunch or a movie or a car ride, it's like, wow, I really feel like I'm in competition with somebody who's not even here. And I didn't know what to say. I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't know how to be any different. I didn't have these tools in my toolbox. And then fast forward, that was 1999. So 2005, I met the love of my life. Didn't know he was going to be the love of my life in 2005. happily married now 14 years as of yesterday, celebrated our anniversary. And it was real love. It was like it was completely unconditional. He accepted everything that had happened. He was so, even though it was awkward, not gonna lie, it was awkward for him to meet, my first love's parents. I'm like, these are people that were a big part of a big challenge in my life that we live to grow through and we continue to grow through. And they're gonna be at my wedding one day. I hope you're okay with that, whether it's you and I or somebody else, just letting you know that. And it's been amazing since then. It was just like the first, I'm going to meet these people. He was open to it. He was like, kind of weird, but whatever. What do I have to lose? This guy isn't here anymore. Right? So I did find that love. I did find that love. And I focused on the fact that I was willing, I was open. And it was different. It's still very different. Like, we're different every phase, every cycle, every decade. Like, our whole body, our DNA is like everything's shifting and changing, and our cells, like everything is just programmed to grow and expand and change. That's the certainty in life, is things are going to change. So if you're not comfortable with change, start to be comfortable with the uncomfortable that comes with change. And it wasn't until I was really willing to be hurt again, I was willing, open to be like, wow, it's worth it to feel that again, to go through the things that I went through and experiencing now, right? The greatest love of my life. It's different, but it's something that we continued to grow together. And gosh, 14 years of marriage, 20 years of being in each other's life since the day we started dating, July 2005. I remember very vividly because I thought for sure I was getting the heck out of Orlando and moving to either Chicago or Boston with some college roommates who didn't know that I was planning to go move into their cities, because I was over it. I was over Orlando. I was over being alone. I was like, okay, I'm really ready to do the work. And I was going to try to figure out how, in my young mid 20s, what that looked like then without the tools that I have now. That's just one example. I can go deep into another example of a layoff of a job that I truly thought I would be there through retirement, meaning I would never retire from that job. And the funny but not so funny thing was, when it happens to you, it sucks. Like, it takes you're losing something. When you lose a job or they take it away, even if they give you a very nice multiple tens of thousands of dollars severance package, which is what I was handed in my late 20s, mid to late 20s, it still sucks. You still have a grieving process. And nobody teaches you. Nobody's there to support you. It's just like, it happens. Because it happens all the time. People get laid off all the time. Every day someone's getting laid off. But it's a loss. It's a bother. It's a challenge. It's a problem. And we label it all these things. But can we take all the labels off and RAHRA it? Respect, accept, honor, release, and appreciate. Because it's a process, and it's not a check the box one and done. And we're over it. There's no getting over life. When somebody dies, you don't get over it. You learn to live with the fact that they're not here, and you appreciate the fact that I hurt because I loved so deeply. I love that job so much, but I also, what did I learn? I learned very quickly not to allow one title to define me. Because if someone takes that title away, who am I without the title? And the cool thing is, when I talk about either of these things, it doesn't trigger anything besides gratitude. I'm not upset at anyone. I used to be very upset at a few people. And then I figured out what was going on. The company was being sold to a Fortune 100 company. They couldn't tell me that when they were letting me go. Everybody was eventually let go except for, I think, 3 to 5 people. Like, everybody, the founders who I deeply respect and admire, who wrote the books, The Power of Full Engagement, The Corporate Athlete, The Power of Story, Dr. Jim Naylor, Dr. Jack Grapple. They like, if I reached out to them tomorrow, they would answer my call. Like, that I am so grateful for. and the experience I had and what I learned. And I was like, wow, I can take these principles into my own practice of what I teach with my Rise Up program, with what I teach in my sales codes methodologies. Like it all links together and it's all happening for me and it's all happening for you. But are you being sold on being a victim? Are you out there to sell? Now, what to sell means is to serve. Service, service, service all day long. It's go give them. You'll never hear me say, hey, go get them today. I don't care what type of team that you're on that I'm coaching. Take the get out of it. No one's getting anything. Nobody likes to be gotten. So at the end of the day, everything that has happened for you up until now, what limiting beliefs are you carrying on into your day to day that are blocking you from your next shot, that are blocking your leads from saying yes because you're buying into your own limiting beliefs and it's projecting onto them, or maybe it's not projecting onto them, but you're supporting them in the buying into their own limiting beliefs versus standing in your authority and conviction, even if your voice is a little shaky, and sharing the truth. Sometimes the truth is hard to be heard. And when it's hard to be heard, sometimes it's even harder to say the truth. But that's service. Hey, John, what I'm hearing today is that bam, bam, bam. Am I assuming something here, or is that what you're feeling too? Hey, John, do I have permission to just shine some light on some truth? And it might not feel good to hear, but if I don't say it, what type of blank am I? What type of leader? What type of coach? What type of whatever you're representing, right? What type of person am I not to share this because I'm seeing it so clearly? I'm afraid you're not. And how long is this going to continue to delay or stop you? Now, when you think about everything I was just saying, from your past stories, limits, challenges, they happen because they happened, because it's happening all the time, all around us. And then we make it mean something. How do we respect, accept, honor, release, and appreciate that? How do we go into our day-to-day life, help people choose differently, help them be brave? This is why it's called Courageous and Free with Jacqueline Mack. Because at the end of the day, where are we choosing with intention, return on intention, to no longer be sold on a limit, to no longer be sold by a circumstance, to no longer be sold by the facade of lack, because we live in a very abundant world, and go out there and actually serve, sell, serve, elevate, listen. Listen. Active listening is a skill. How many of you are hearing people talk and you're thinking about the next thing you're going to say versus being fully engaged in active listening and then respond with a better quality question to get to the root of what's beneath everything? And what the root is beneath everything is a belief. If somebody who thinks they're worthy or not worthy, they deserve it or don't deserve it because of what? Something that happened, something that bothered them yesterday, today, 20 years ago, a lifetime ago. See, selling isn't just in business. This is my favorite part of selling. I've seen how so many people make their decisions and give their power away, or step into their power and know their worth. I've seen so many people delay their happiness, delay their dreams, delay their vitality for a lifetime or a month too long, because then the person they wanted to experience the thing with is gone. So where in your life are you selling possibility and potentiality? Because you know in your heart of heart, and you can justify with logic all day, that's fine. But do you know? Do you ever drop into your heart space to know the real truth? The truth that overcomes all limitations, all limiting beliefs, all thoughts. Because again, what's the mind doing? It's just trying to protect you. That's the craziest part of this. It likes what's familiar. So it doesn't want you to change. What's familiar is certainty. But you're like, I don't like being 60 pounds overweight. I don't like only bringing in this much revenue. I don't like that my months are inconsistent. Okay, so what are you choosing to do differently? It's just a choice. You're just a choice away. You're one choice, one conversation, one breakthrough away. And it doesn't have to be earth shattering. Oh my gosh, the clouds have parted, the sun is shining, or it can be. Your perspective is your reality. We're going to talk about that in an upcoming episode because at the end of the day, that's all life is. It's perceptions that shift and change, grow, expand, contract, limit. It's our job to realize that and to honor and like, do we like what our perception is? Do we like what our life is? Do we like what our reality is? Yes or no? It's not yes or no, right or wrong, good or bad. It just is. So sell or be sold. Go back, listen to this. Where can you apply something? Maybe you actually now want to bring this to a real strategic conversation around sales, and you want to join me on Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for a workshop, Sales Momentum to Mastery. It's the only way to gain mastery is to what? Put in the reps. The only way to put in the reps and to build that momentum is consistency. You can message me. I'll send you over the calendar link and you can grab your spot. Or you can hop on a sales momentum strategy session one-on-one while they are still available. And I only do those a few times a week because of availability and because of me living from my vision, deciding from my vision, and the time freedom and the money freedom that I desire and I stand by. So with that, I'm going to leave you with so much love